Welcome everybody to the second episode of Lead Board series, where we get to really discuss real issues that happen in the business world. And our topic today is breaking the glass ceiling, leadership strategies for women. And I'm absolutely honored to have two leaders here within BDO, Sims, who's a director within our external audit division, Farhana, who is the director within our internal audit division. And I guess together we'll be talking about the importance of mentorship as well as networking as you rise, whether it is in the space where you're trying to build your own business or in the space where you are building a career within a corporate space. So today I welcome you, the audience as well today, to participate as we get along and explore basically the journeys of Farhana and Sims and how they got to where they are and how perhaps we can break this glass ceilings and to make real impact and input into the business world. So Farhana and Sims, welcome.
Thank you, Tuto.
I'm going to start on your side, Farhana, and maybe just to give us a little bit of your journey, your career, how you got here, and some of them, maybe the things that made an impact into that journey.
Sure, thanks, Tuto. Thanks for having me. So my journey really started on a small suburb in the west of Pretoria. That's where I was born and bred and raised, and a high school there, government school, high school there. And fortunately enough to do well enough in matric, and I got through to university. But I think my journey really started with my parents. They are from the apartheid era, and for them, they were not as fortunate enough to have the opportunities that I managed to have, being post 1994. And they always kind of instilled in me education. You got to get yourself educated. You can get to where you want to be through education. And that really set the tone in the back of my mind that really there is opportunity for me now, and I really need to start taking it. And then I think the second turning point for me was at varsity. Unfortunately, I lost my dad. And I think that it can either make you or break you. And I decided that's not going to break me. It's going to make me. And I'm going to take his legacy and, use that to fuel me from going forward, to go forward. And I think I really used that. And I started propelling myself forward by working hard, by trying to take all the opportunities that was afforded to me. And really today I stand here as director in RES, and people always say, oh, you're so lucky. But really it's been a hard journey. And it's a journey that can be done. Sims and I are both here, and we can tell you that it can be done. And that's really, I think, the two main things that's propelled me forward.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. And I take particularly the point of, challenges are there in life, and you really choose how they shape you, in terms of the impact that they have on you. And maybe before I delve into the questions as such, I'll give you the opportunity, Sims, as well, to tell us a little bit about your own journey.
Right. Thank you so much for having me, Tuto. I really appreciate it. So my name is Simphiwe Mahlangu. I'm mostly referred to as Sims, which is actually a name from back at home that my parents gave me. But I think having been in the organization, it's 10 years now since I left university, and it's almost feeling like home already. So I was born in the East Rand. Mom and dad are both teachers. At that time, those were the careers that were there. And my parents did not stop teaching in the classroom. They brought their teaching at home. I knew I had to be diligent with my schoolwork. I knew education was very important. When it came to choosing a career, naturally, I wanted to become a teacher because that's what I knew.
Yeah.
My parents were adamant that's not happening. My accounting teacher also stepped in, and I'm so grateful for her, Mrs. Vanya. She was really pivotal in helping me choose a career. She would send me the information about it because I didn't know what chartered accountancy was. Couldn't even pronounce it. I used to call it chartered accountant. So I'm so grateful to her, and she saw something in me. And she really made sure that I see my journey through. And, I think God works in mysterious ways, because today in my career, what am I doing? I'm teaching almost every day. I'm teaching psycho trainees, I'm teaching managers, and that's really the sweet spot of my career, and that's really why I'm here today.
Amazing, passion fueled. Right, ladies, I spoke about the role of mentorship, or touched on it when we started. I think one wants to unpack that a little bit. The role of mentorship as, you shape your own career, you shape your own life within business. And maybe let's get your take. How do you see and the effectiveness of mentorship into the growth of, leaders and business?
So mentorship plays a very important part. Because when you're younger, you're not as experienced, and you think you know what's right and what's wrong, and you really sometimes need that mentor to kind of help to guide you. And I've been very fortunate over my career to have quite a few mentors, not just one. And I think that's also one of the tips I can give to people is you don't only have to have one mentor. There's a whole lot of people that can shape you. It doesn't need to even be in your career. I think very early on you need to decide who you want to be and the type of leader that you want to be, and have a look at who has those attributes that can actually help you in that journey. And those are the kind of people that you can align with, and that's really where you could find your mentorship person or people to help you.
I think just to add on to that, mentorship for me has always been something that I was very deliberate about. The moment, I was fortunate enough to enter an organization where we were all assigned mentors. That's right. Okay, great. This is the person that I am given. However, I was very certain to say we need to understand a few things. Where are we going? How are we getting there? What do we need to get there? And the most important part for me was when. Right. So when I arrived at the firm, I think it was in 2014, I had said, I don't see anyone that looks like me in leadership. I want to get there. I want to get there in 10 years. I understood that it is a journey. I still need to do articles, I must pass exam. I said from the moment I arrived to my mentor, I want to get there in 10 years' time. And we worked towards that goal. So you need to know where you're going, how are you getting there, what do you need, and when. Otherwise, you're just having coffee with a buddy.
Wow. Sure. What you've said, for me, at least since you say mentorship, it actually lies a lot with the mentee.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, as well.
You are the one that wants to get something out of it.
Yes.
You've got to be the driver, and you've got to set milestones.
100%.
That's amazing. So now I want to ask, did you achieve the milestones?
A bit late. We were 9 months short of the 10 years, but I think that it was amazing. We absolutely worked towards it, and I'm here today as a director and signed off my first financials recently. So he's passed on that baton to me, and we've definitely achieved it.
Oh wow. Spoken like an auditor, we missed the deadline by 9 months, but nonetheless, we got there. and Farana, on your side, maybe just one or two anecdotes around the effective, mentorship, or the effectiveness of mentorship.
I think it can be very effective. Like Sim says, you need to be intentional about what you want. It's not just about aligning with anyone. It's that intent, and you yourself have to drive it forward. Your mentor's not going to come to you every time and say, oh, where are you? It's up to you. But there's also something very critical as well. It's not just give and take. There's a mutual relationship, and you need to have that self-belief in yourself to say, I've got this mentor, but I can also give back to my mentor.
Yes.
Because I'm also going through challenges, and these challenges only I'm going through. there's a little bit that I can give back as well. And it's reverse mentorship is a thing now, and it's a big thing. And I think that's also for the young ladies and gentlemen out there, you have a lot to give. You know, believe in yourself and realize if you do find yourself a mentor, you can also give back. And that's also important, and it's a very tidbit that I can give to people out there.
I love that. It's a relationship.
It's a relationship. Yeah.
I got that. So I'm going to jump on a little bit or pivot into networking because, you know, in the world of business, you tend to do business with people, you know. So if you look into your journey and given now you are, I guess, maybe getting to the pinnacle of your own careers, the importance of networking and the role that it has played in your careers. Maybe we'll touch on that. You can start, Sim.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You know, I think we're so quick to associate networking with what we see on TV and social media. It's the cocktail parties, it's the golf days. But when you're still on the rise, networking starts with where you are. It starts with what you have. So sitting here today, I've met Tuto before. I've had conversations with Tuto before. I've met Farana before. I was able to cross-sell business to Farana. So start in the organization where you are. Get an understanding of what do the other business lines do. Get to know the people that are there. That's also networking. And that also helps you to shine in the overall organization. Don't be boxed to say, I came here to do external audit and that's what I'm going to do. You need to show up and speak up. And that's how you then network with the people around you. That's, I think, and then also everything will then come together as I, you know, venture in. I've started to get golf day invites. It's like, okay, maybe I need to start learning how to play golf. But it starts off with where you are. And I think that's the most important thing. Don't wait for the big invitations. Don't wait for that. Do it right now with what you have.
Oh, absolutely. And Farana?
Yeah, I think Sim said it very eloquently. From my side, what I can add to networking is, you know what, networking is an opportunity to build your brand. And if you want to be a leader, there's very little that yes, you're an auditor, but as you move up the leadership ranks, you're not really auditing as much. It's more about leadership. And that is where you really, the networking comes into play. It's the people that you know, it's people knowing your name, people knowing your brand and your brand of leadership and your reputation. And that's why it's very important that you find yourselves in these circles, because you never know. It's a very small world down the line who you're going to meet. That's when networking can really help you.
I recall when I started out doing my articles, one of the partners then said, look left, look to your right. Those are the future CFOs, future leaders.
It's true.
That will be in your life. Mingle and make sure that you make an impact with your very own peers.
Yes.
And I can tell you, probably 20 years on, that is a true story.
Yes.
Yeah.
A lot of those people that I've done articles with, that I was in class with, they're sitting in high places and I need to do business with them, or I just need to, you know, interact in some way or the other around life issues. So I think I agree with their, you know, with their ideology of networking is not necessarily in grand scale. It's really around you, making sure that you are visible, making sure that you speak to people, you connect with people around you today, that you sit in a room with, that you come across at the tea station, and that's why coming back to an office absolutely makes sense too.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, so now breaking barriers. Farana, have we broken any barriers, and maybe just navigate us through some of those?
I think we have. I mean, Sims and I can both tell you, like Sims mentioned, when you started, there was not many people like us that are sitting where we're sitting today. So I really do think that we have broken those barriers. And it's only with the help of other people that we really have gotten to where we are. And I think that's important as women in this profession. in the profession that we find ourselves in, it's important to help ourselves.
Yeah.
You know, we always speak of the boys' club,
Yes.
but it's important to have a girls' club as well. And to me, I think that's what I really want to see happening. I don't want us to be sitting around the table again in 10 years' time speaking of breaking the barrier. That barrier needs to have been broken completely. And we need to be part of the girls' club and hold each other's hands to actually break that ceiling. So I do believe we've broken the barrier. There's some work that still needs to be done. But I mean, I look around me and I look at the great leaders, future leaders that are here. And I really do believe that we are going to be breaking those barriers.
Absolutely, and they are very much forward and taking the bull by its horns. And Sims, any challenges that maybe you've navigated and you could maybe impart some of how you walk that journey?
So I think it's important to understand that the professional services industry, much like most, it is inherently male dominated. So we can't shy away from it. And that will mean that by design, the support structures that are in place are not feminine in nature. And the piece of advice that I could give is that you need to be very comfortable with that. Take, for example, something simple as an icebreaker. I walked into a boardroom for an AuditCom meeting, and they'll obviously have an icebreaker. They were speaking about Formula One. I had no idea. The last time I knew Formula One, it was Schumacher, so I knew. I'm a few years late. But I was conscious of that, and I did not allow that to deter me from the presentation that I needed to make in that meeting.
Sure.
So I think we need to understand the structures that are at play with us, and we need to be conscious about them, and we need to develop a skin that will allow you to still perform.
Right.
And just to touch on Farhana's point, I firmly believe in also a women's club. I don't want to sit here in the next 5-10 years speaking about the same thing. I just want to share just a little bit. There's a TED talk I was listening to, and the lady there had said, women need to start building bridges, not walls. And I found that so profound because if I think about the bridges that I am building, I mean, Buhle is one of my bridges. When I made director, she was so quick to call me. We're celebrating together. In that moment, we lifted together. So don't build walls around you to try and fit into this male-dominated industry. Build bridges. And that's how we can work together as women.
Wow. I love that. Building bridges and not walls. Amazing. Youth Month. Very significant month for South Africa specifically. So what advice, not that you guys are old, specifically looking at South African youth definition, which I believe has moved to 45, by the way, from 35, so you're still very much young. What advice do you have, particularly for young women and you know, somebody who's navigating, starting out, or already well in their career, you know, saying how then do you step it up and what do you need to be encouraged by? Yeah.
You see, people always tell me, oh, you're so lucky. You're so lucky to be a director. And I always say, yes, I'm very lucky. But I know in the back of my mind what luck means. It's an age-old saying of luck is when hard work meets opportunity. And that's my advice to everyone. If you follow this...
Repeat that again.
Luck is when hard work meets opportunity.
Underline hard work.
Hard work.
Okay.
And if you follow this, I promise you, you'll also find yourself lucky to be where Sims and I are. Your hard work, yes, work on your skill, but work on everything else as well. You know, work on your self-belief, your empathy, everything that you need to be a good leader, your emotional intelligence. Put in the hard work. Your opportunities will come. It will come through your networking, your mentorship, your breaking the barriers. Those are your opportunities. And when you put those together, I promise you, you'll be lucky and you'll see. It takes hard work to be here, but it takes a lot of other things as well to get here. And you really can do it by just putting those two things together. And that's really what I I can tell the youth to do, and they will also find themselves where Sims and I are today.
Amazing.
Yeah. I think, Tudo, just to add on that, we've spoken about mentorship, breaking barriers. The one thing I learned quite late in my journey, and I would like to share that with young and upcoming managers, is sponsorship. Now, that is someone who will be confident to speak your name and say your name when opportunities and promotions come in place. You can be fortunate for that it is your mentor, but usually a sponsor is somebody else. Now, you need to identify that person in the organization and make sure that you portray yourself and you work on yourself to a moment that that person is proud and confident to say, I think Sims can actually do that. So yes, mentorship, breaking the barriers, but sponsorship is something that is also very important.
100%. And I think the takeaway there is someone who can speak about your name in rooms where you're not present.
Yeah.
Shoot. Okay. That is very critical. I want to move on and we'll wrap up the conversation as we get participation from our audience as well. Talking about supportive environment, you've already touched on it. Sim, you know, I like that analogy of building bridges and not walls, which really speaks about that supportive environment. You spoke about the Girls Club, which is again, you know, in that nuggets and bucket of a supportive environment. So what does that maybe look like, and how do we actively you know, maybe infuse that to make sure that aspiring young people, particularly that want to get into leadership positions, particularly with women, how do we fuel that and build that? Yeah.
I think we really need to give back consciously. So, I mean, we've had mentors to help us get to where we are. And as a leader, we need to kind of do the same. Yes, we expect the mentees to come to us, but really if we do see someone and we do see people that would make great leaders, is to help them along the way. Because you never know how your support shapes someone else's future. You know, and it doesn't have to be a full mentorship. And just guide them, you know, be that person that we needed when we were climbing up the ranks. And I think for me that's important. We really need to start giving back. And our structures, as leaders now, we have some sort of influence over our own structures, our own people and culture structures, our wellness structures, and we really need to start pushing for how that embeds into leadership and women leadership, and we have a chance to change things, and that's what we need to be doing.
Yeah, no, absolutely, I fully agree. And I think, Farana, it's about breaking the glass ceiling, but leaving the door open.
Yes, leave the door open, pass the baton.
Yes, that's the most important thing. I think also where we find ourselves as a country, I think mindfulness is also very important. I had a session with my coach, and she asked me, Sims, who are you? You know, okay. Simphiwe Mahlangu, I was born in the East Rand. She said, no, try again. Who are you? I came back and I said, I am African. I am a beautiful woman. I'm smart. I am a go-getter. And then she said, yes, that's who you are. So there's so much power in confirmation bias, but it starts with yourself. You yourself need to confirm and affirm to yourself that I deserve to be in this room. I've worked hard. I'm going to showcase myself. Upskill yourself. Please make sure that you've done your necessary homework, but confirm yourself first, because it's in that where when something tries to shake you, it's very difficult, because you remember that I've confirmed to myself. You're not waiting for Tuto to tell you or Sims to tell you. Confirmation bias is the most important thing. Be mindfulness, speak positivity into yourself. I think that's also quite an important thing for upcoming leaders.
Wow.
And you're so right, Sims, because as women, we always have this little voice in our head saying, are we good enough to be here?
Yes. Yes.
Is our accent right to be here?
Yes.
Do we deserve to be here?
100%.
And honestly, we really do. We really do. But it starts with you. If you don't believe in yourself, you need to be able to demand the table. I deserve to be sitting at this table. And we do. So let's believe in ourselves and start, claiming the table. The table is ours. Yeah.
I'm learning so much. I've learned confirmation bias. I'm going to practice it a lot more. I love it, absolutely. And let's get to the practicalities of the thing. And I would love to hear maybe success stories. We talk about creating the right environment for people, mentorship and sponsorship now that you've introduced them. So what are the success stories, maybe in your own journeys, where you can say, I've got 1-2 success stories around maybe the work that I would have done, as well as you said, as you go along, make sure that that door is open. So perhaps you guys can share with us your own success stories.
So I don't know if it's a success story, but I took success out of it. I'm always positive in how I approach things. I think it's quite important that we learn as upcoming leaders how to take negative feedback. That is something that can really deter you. And it's very important that you take it in a way that is constructive. So just a little story about myself. So I was always a top achiever in terms of academics. In high school, top 10, in varsity, I did my absolute best. And I really wanted to do my articles at a bank. So one of the prestigious bank it was really the talk of the town in varsity. They had a winter school program. You really had to have good marks. So I applied for it and I got in. So excited. My parents, they packed my bags, took me to the place we're going. We're all very happy. I honestly felt that I did everything that was required. I did all the challenges, did all the group work. And at the end, I didn't get a training contract. I honestly went home and I remember I cried. I couldn't. I was like, I've been working so hard. How could this be? And it was in that moment that I learned I need to go back. But I need to go back to get the feedback. I need to understand what it was that I was not achieving. The HR there was very helpful. She said to me, academic record, sharp, but you just don't have the right culture fit. And I was like, okay. And she says, I was just not seen. She says, I didn't step forward. She actually said to me, you were given a seat at the table and you didn't take it. And that's when I learned that hard work alone is not enough. You need to be able to come out of your shell. You need to be able to step up. You need to be able to put yourself in uncomfortable positions. And that's how you're going to be a successful leader. From that day on, I knew just doing my work was not enough. Even coming to work, just showing up at work every day, it's not enough, guys. You need to go the extra mile.
Right. Oh, wow. And what are those extra miles, maybe whilst we're sharing? What are those? Yeah.
So, I always say, get to know your leaders, right? Every leader has their own different leadership style. I see myself as a authentic leader. And that's someone that speaks from the heart. That's someone that goes from experiences, But I have some leaders that are very strict and they're not open and honest and wanting to know about feelings. They want executive summaries. And I need to be able to understand the leaders that I'm working with and present the work in that manner, to speak to what they are willing to receive. And then that sort of pivots me at a higher level because I've taken the time to understand the leaders around me and how they work. And I think that's really been key in how I've been able to navigate my journey, is understanding the different leadership styles around me and how to best communicate with them.
Wow. Arana,
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. Sams, when you get to leadership, like I said, it's not just about practicing your skill anymore. It's the softer skills. And it's that softer skills, if I can just tell the young ladies around the table, is start working on that today. For me, the biggest thing is your emotional intelligence, your EQ, your ability to understand someone else, what someone else is feeling, what someone else is thinking. And once you can enhance that skill in yourself, you'll be a great leader. Leaders will look up to you as well, because you can read a room, you can understand a room, and that's really what it's all about. When you're on that chair at an audit committee or at a board meeting, it's about understanding the room and what you can add. And it's that for me, and it's also your self-belief. You can do everything that you want. You could be the greatest auditor in the world, but if you don't believe in yourself, and if that doesn't shine through, people kind of look past you. And it's similar to what you said, Sams. You felt, you weren't commanding the table, but once you started understanding yourself, people started looking at you. And it really starts with you. You glow from within, and then people can never ignore you. And that's what I would really tell young people. Practice on your skill, it's great, but also work on yourself. And then there's no barrier that you won't break.
We spoke about reverse mentorship, so I'm also learning quite a lot out of this conversation. And thank you for that. And maybe before I invite some of the conversations from the floor, just let's talk about your vision for women, what you see in the future for women leaders, women wanting to do business, women wanting to make an impact in society and really make good for themselves within the economy.
Yeah. Like I said, for me, to see the glass ceiling shattered, that we don't have to have this conversation in 10 years' time, that we get to a point where women are, it's just an accepted practice, that we are here and we deserve to be here. There's no such thing as the boys' club in that glass ceiling. That's really my vision. And it's for the younger ones not to have the challenges that we've had to have. They need to be able to see us already sitting on the table, and not like Sams and I, where we were looking for people that were like us. There. And that's really my vision. But it's also my vision for, like, I've got a young baby boy, and I am his female role model, and I want him to be an advocate for women one day. So I want to be that role model for him, where one day he grows up, he's an advocate for women, and he's like, you know what, my mom could balance both. She could balance her career, and she wore so many hats, including motherhood, but here she is today, and he's an advocate for women one day. And that's really my vision, to get everybody to be advocates, to say, well, women, we wear so many hats, but we're doing it, and we're doing it quite well.
Yeah, I fully agree with you, Fran. I think for me, how I vision women leadership is one where we are not shy of our vulnerabilities, because that's what makes us unique. I really envision us to not want to be in this male suit and have to put up this facade to say, I can be equal. No, we are different, and we need to enhance those differences, because that's what makes us unique leaders. I really want us to embrace our softness as women, our caregiving as women, because that's the kind of leadership that will take this country forward.
Wow. And it comes natural, as you said.
Yes.
Wow. Actionable tips, ladies, and then I want to invite the audience. So just maybe 2-3 actionable tips, that we've got to take forward. We've spoken a number of things, but particularly maybe I can circle back into enhancing the right environment as well, so.
I think a big one for me is prioritize yourself. I think the best investment you can ever make is in yourself. So be selective about where you spend your time, how you spend your time, and with who. The company you keep around you is so important. So be mindful of that. You can't pour from an empty cup, guys. And as Farana said, there's so many roles that as women we play: wife, mom, caregiver, it's important that you invest in yourself so that you can bring out the best of yourself. I think that's just be conscious of investing in yourself is one of the most important tips for me.
Wow. Mindfulness, investing in self. I'm taking notes.
I agree with you, Simran. I think it's aligning yourself with the people who you want to be like.
Right.
You know, from the get-go, align yourself and know who it is that you want to become. I think that's important. You need to understand who is it that I want to be and what type of leader do I want to be. And you can attend every leadership course that you want. It's not going to teach you the type of leader that you want to be.
Right.
And you need to understand very early on who it is that you want to be and move towards that and work hard towards that. Yeah.
Everyday work. So now I want to turn to our audience today. With everything else that's been said, you know, there's been a couple of, I think, moving from mentorship, sponsorship, right environment. What questions do you guys have for Farhana, Sim, or even comments at this stage?
Hi, so I'm part of a mentorship program at my alma mater university as a mentor, and I just want your advice that how can I better my mentor journey as well, how to better aid my mentee. And I'm speaking about people that are in third year that are going into their RAS, internal audit articles. As someone who was of that age who also had a young mentor, what would you have wanted them to guide you with? What would you have wanted to hear?
Right. Practical tips.
Yeah, so I think if I was in university and I had a mentor that's probably starting out in their career, the things I wanted to know would be, what's a normal day like? Like practical things. What do you wear? You know, I would just want to know what is required of me and how can I best prepare myself so that when I come in, I stand the best chance of actually doing well. And that's something that you would know because you've had a few months experience already, and you can let them know, shucks, you know what? Should have got my driver's license in varsity. Simple things like that could actually assist them when they start work. So it's not waiting to say, go and study something else. No, I really feel it's just the most practical things that you can give to your mentee. Another thing that I tell a lot of students is have audacity, you know? Because you've worked so hard, you've achieved your degree, put yourself up in terms of opportunities. When opportunity comes, don't shy away and be like, I've got something this weekend, you know. Open yourself up to learning. Then that's why professional service organization, it's really an organization where you need to open yourself up to learn. So that's some of the tips that I would tell someone that's still in varsity. Be ready to learn. It doesn't stop at university.
Wow. Farhana?
Yeah, I think you've got the on-the-job knowledge, and that's really what people want. So they want to know, what is it like? What do they need to do? And like Sim says, give them their tidbits, and really just guide them as to what it's going to take here. I think you know what it takes here. It's not what you expect when you're at varsity. So guide them with that, and that's really what they want at that stage.
And maybe my 2 cents worth, every day you're writing a CV from that very age, they must be mindful of that. So again, I think there were conversations earlier on, what do you get involved in becomes important, you know. So how active are they even as a student? Are they active students in leadership positions, and that I mean within your community, helping out within the community, be actively looking out for VAC jobs and, you know, things like those, because every single day you're writing out your story, and those are the foundations that will determine where you would like to be, and the earlier the better. Tando, you had a question. Okay. Yes, I'll come back to you.
Thank you. I have 2 comments and 1 question. So my first comment is with regards to mentorship. And I think one thing that we never really talk about is that there are different forms of mentorship. For example, I may want Tito to mentor me, but she's already mentoring 2 other people. She's hosting a podcast. Next thing you see on her LinkedIn, she's in Kenya. So you need to open yourself up for different forms of mentorships, like listen to the podcast, for example. You know, read articles, read the books that they might have written. Like, how close can you get to your mentor? It's not always have to be like a meeting or a tea. Like, there are different forms of where you can get close to your mentor and different other mentors. They don't even have to know that they are mentoring you, you know? So you should always just be open to that. Yes. And my other one is with regards to networking as well. I think it's important to always attend events. Such things as like social events that we have. Let people know you, because I may not work with people, but at least you will know me at a farewell or welcoming other colleagues. You don't have to build relationships outside your work as well. And what's important as well is also participating in task teams. For example, I'm part of the RES Training Academy as well. And I'll get to work with different directors and managers who are outside of my own reporting line. Like, oh, Tando, you're part of the RES. You are assisting us with doing trainings, you know. Oh, Tando's actually good with dashboards. Tando's actually good with SharePoint. She does amazing SharePoint, you know, and they actually see that and they experience it. And then they get to actually say your name with your work that actually benefits them, you know. Be a part of task teams as well. And these task teams are shared like during meetings, our national meetings. We get to see what the company is actually doing, see tasks that you can actually assist with, you know. During our also monthly meetings as well, we are now talking about restructuring RES, rethink RES. Like, you can already think like, oh, what kind of value can I add? How can I put my hand up? Not every opportunity will be say, hi, this is an opportunity. You have to go and present yourself as well.
Amazing.
Thank you. And my question is, to the floor, as a mentor and a leader, what are you currently doing to actually continue to grow yourself as a leader and a mentor?
Sure. So I'll speak about what I'm currently doing. So I'm always finding ways to upskill myself, to learn more. If I take like a normal practical thing that I do, so I have a Thursday afternoon, and today you stole my time, but
I'm sorry.
So Thursday afternoon, I take my daughters to swimming. While they're swimming, that's my podcast time, and I'm very specific about what I'm actually looking for. It's because I'm in the technology space, it's always important that I stay abreast of new developments in technology. And I've put that intentionally into my normal life routine, so it doesn't feel like something extra. So I think as a mentor, it's very important to be intentional about finding ways to continuously upskill yourself in your normal life. And in that way, it becomes continuous, and it becomes part of your daily life, that you're continuously upskilling yourself, keeping yourself abreast. So that's really one of the things that I've been very conscious about.
And you, Ferhana?
Yeah, I think from my end is also the podcasting, but it's more, like I said, for me, it's more the softer side of things. Really trying to understand the leader I want to be. And as you gain more and more experience, you realize that as you change as a person, you need to grow certain things within you. So I spend a lot of time trying to figure that out through podcasts, doing a lot of EQ type podcasts, trying to understand and learning from really leaders in the space that I want to grow in. And I find the easiest and most convenient way is podcasting. You can do it on your way to and from work, for instance, that half an hour. So it's that, and it's really also from a reverse mentorship perspective, like you guys. You guys are more, yes, we're living in a digital world. No one can tell us more about digital than you guys. Yeah. So it's to learn from you guys and what it is that you know. What is it that I need to know as a leader? It's spending a lot of time with people like you, trying to understand what's going on with you as well.
Katlego?
So I no.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Okay. So I have a comment, right? That's just going to lead me into my question. So I don't know if we are aware of how, with glass ceiling, right? We've got the definition, invisible things that are preventing us women from reaching the goals that we want to reach. But there's also another side to a glass ceiling that is often left out of the conversation. The unacknowledged things that just prevent us, right? Because
yes, we're all women. We all face similar struggles, right? But I feel like with the unacknowledged struggles, they're often the struggles that individuals face, but not too many of these individuals face it together for it to be a common struggle, for it then to be classified as a glass ceiling where people just are being prevented from reaching this point that they want to reach because they just not that many of them facing these, right? With that, I would also like to ask, how important is it to select the right mentor for you for when you reach the point of breaking the glass ceiling? Because too often at times we focus on the journey to breaking it and not when it is broken. Because once the ceiling is broken, we don't prepare ourselves for the cost of breaking the glass.
Wow. Okay. So elegantly, I'm going to get to my guest today. Do you want to get started, Sim?
Yeah, no, I think it really speaks to me because once I'd focused so much on the journey to make director. Once I got there, I was like, okay, so what now? You know? And that's when I had the introduction of a coach, right? And really my coach came into a space where so I knew the directorship was happening, but my coach had to get me ready for it. Now I shifted away from my mentor and I had to have a coach that could now tell me, right, this is now this is the next phase in your life. And one of the important things that my coach had told me I had to be conscious of is my family, because they've been there on that journey with me. And those are the people that I needed to go back to and in a way thank, but also appreciate. And also be in that moment to say, if anything happens in my life, those are the people that will still be there for me at the end of the day. So it really opened me up to say, as part of my journey, there are other people that were silently mentoring me. Might not have been someone here in the office, but it was my mom, it was my sister, it was, you know, even my friends. So just at the point of reaching or breaking that glass ceiling, I think that coach coming in was really something that was pivotal for me. I don't know if there was another part, or Farana, if you want to add to that.
No, I think it's to some point there'll always be that bridge, and you're always using people as a bridge. And you'll see once you break that glass ceiling, there's always more that you can do. There's more ceilings that you can break. You know, and you can actually, then you can go back also and can look, okay, I've made it to where I want to make it. How can I help someone else? And maybe that's a direction then that I believe that from my end, once I broke the glass ceiling and I was like, oh wow, I've made it. But I look at a lot of the ladies around the room, and you're actually part of my team as well. How do I now be the bridge for you? And really that's my new role now. It's to be the bridge for you so that you can also sit here one day. And to me, that's how I see it after you break the glass ceiling. Really become a bridge for someone else. And then you'll see also, for you personally, there's also so much more that you can now aspire to that might not be in this lane. But like I said, as women, we wear so many different hats. There's always something to look forward to.
Sorry to be this person. Just adding to that, because you're speaking about how you are being the bridge for people around you. That brings me to my last question. Promise. Promise. So how do you feel, right, or how do you think this, because you also mentioned this girls club, right, and how we also need to have a girls club of our own. How do you think that will be very important in preventing glass cliffs, right? Basically, where female people are, female individuals or people in the minorities are being put in place of power, but they're set up for failure. So obviously, we are given this opportunity. That was a junior analyst, and like, she speaks a lot. Let's make her CEO. I have no experience doing that, right? I'm being set up for failure. How do you think girls clubs can just help prevent such for fellow women?
I think that
you know, like I said, it's being a bridge, but that's also where mentorship comes in, you know, and a coach comes in. Like Sim said, she had a coach. Once she broke that glass ceiling, we have a coach that helps us and that guides us. And it's also your own self-belief. I'm not saying you should feel like, oh, I can't do this and I'm being set up for failure, but you will know what you need in order to get there. And you will know when I do get there, I might not be confident in doing that, but that's where your mentors come in. And that's where you see other women like Tutu, for instance, who's climbed that cliff, you know, quite confidently and so well. And that's where your mentorship really comes in. And that's why it's important to align with the right mentor. That's someone that's going to hold your hand through those types of challenges. And also, always believe in yourself. Always believe that once I get there, I deserve to be here. Even if someone is setting me up for failure, they're not going to get it right. Because I deserve to be here, and I'm going to work hard to actually climb that cliff. And I'm going to align myself with the right people to help me climb that cliff. And you'll see that that cliff is not really a cliff, it's more like a stone.
Oh, gee. And I think what I'm taking out is having accountability partners always in your life. Yes, ma'am. I'll take the last two questions. I know them, yeah.
My question would be, what do you think the next generation of women need to know or be aware of? And where do you think we need to improve, whether it be in our thinking or the way that we navigate spaces? Because sometimes we see the end goal and we think, oh, we're just going to get there overnight. And maybe we're not being realistic in the way we're thinking, or we're not applying ourselves correctly in the spaces that we are in. Yeah.
So for me to say, it's conversations like this, right? Because you would have seen myself and Farana as directors, but you didn't understand that that journey was not smooth sailing, right? And it's understanding that, and it's preparing for that. So I think if you can better prepare yourself, Farana spoke about EQ. It's not something to be taken lightly, because as a woman, if something is deterring you or impacting you, our natural response is to be emotional about it. And in the corporate space, that is deemed unprofessional. So as a woman, then you need to be able to then guide yourself, coach yourself, find a space within yourself that can allow you to not project those kind of emotions in situations that it's not acceptable. So I think as a woman, what you can prepare for is really working on your soft skills, working on your business acumen. And I think that's something that's very important, because we all know the hard work. We all know the studying and passing the exams. But I think if we can just work more on developing on our soft skills, that is what can really set you apart.
And to add on to what Sim says, is be very intentional about where you want to go, and also realize you can't do it alone. Yeah. You need to help each other get there. You're not going to do it alone. It's not an easy road. You see us sitting here, but you don't see the story behind it. And we could only do it by doing it together, especially as women. So, you know, be bridges for each other. I think that's what I would say.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you guys for this opportunity. And Farana, seems you are indeed powerhouses. Listening to you was a breath of fresh air. And it took me back to my journey. I've always worked with male bosses, which I presume that they were the best. And then when I hear stories about women in power, they always look down on other women. In most cases, when I talk about women leadership, it's not a good thing. People, they don't prefer working with women. And also myself, I don't prefer that. But listening to you guys today, I think it changed my mind in a way, because you mentioned something about building a wall. I've built a wall already. I've never experienced that maybe, what can I say? I've never experienced women in power being rude or being somehow to me, but I've had other people, and I've built a wall that I prefer only working with men. So, but hearing you guys speak about being bridges, breaking down the wall, I look back at my journey and then I said, maybe I'm missing out on women like you because wow, you guys are. I want an advice from you, like as women in leadership. What are you doing for women like me that have built walls? How are you becoming that? I hear you saying you must become each other's bridge, but how? Because so much women, when we are in power, we tend to be perceived as we look down on other people. Sometimes other people they do, but listening to you guys, I can work with you. Please, I am. I just want to advise tomorrow when I am in a position so that I can remember on how you guys are helping other people like me to break their walls and to be a bridge, become a bridge for them.
I think it goes back to the point of vulnerability and being confident and living your vulnerability. So what you've experienced, it's something that is not spoken about, but I know exactly how you feel, where you get the impression that if I work for another woman, she's going to press me down. And that's because we are not open with our vulnerability. So what I do practically with my female managers is I open up about my vulnerabilities, and I open up to say, I'm soft here, I need to be a bit stronger. And that opens them up also to say, okay, Sims, I can look up to you, I can then work with you. But if we continue to perceive ourselves as men and want to be men, then you'll continue to build that wall. But if you own your vulnerabilities and you use it to your advantage, be the nurturing person in the room. That is your leadership style. And you'll find that people gravitate more towards that. I have a lot of trainees that will say, yeah, I work so hard for Sims. Other people, yeah. So it's how you interact with those people and you take the interest and the time to get to know them as well, because that's the nurturing and the caregiving sort of aspect that you have within you. And I think that's how you can allow other women to take those walls down. And women helping women, I really think we can really go far.
I agree, Sims. And this is where the Girls Club comes in and why we really need to work on this Girls Club so that we can all. We are so comfortable in a man's world where we need to start being comfortable in our world as well. And I think once we break that barrier and we create a space where it's okay to be yourself in the workplace, you'll see that a lot of leaders actually break those walls down. And that's also where EQ is really important and why I keep saying, girls, work on EQ, because once you understand how other people feel and you can understand how you feel, you can automatically break those barriers. And now I'll go back again to the Girls Club and we need to build it and pioneer that.
Amazing. Yeah. Charity, you are the last person to take us.
I hope I have enough time because I have a comment and a question as well. Regarding the comment, I want to take it back to the networking that you mentioned. In one of the managers' forum that I attended, Sims said that networking starts around you. Like you don't need to go to the fancy networking events that they show on TV. And in that session, one of the ladies mentioned that networking actually starts by just greeting. Like by me greeting her, the following day I'm gonna see her and we're gonna be like, oh, hi, we met at this event, how are you? We get to talk and we get to really share what each person does. So it's not a there and then moment where we get to expand on what we do, but just by greeting, we're opening doors to really communicate moving forward. And my question, I just wanted to really talk on the leadership style. Sims mentioned about being authentic and you mentioned about EQ, emotional intelligence. Just want to know the pivotal moment in your career where you can say, this was the time where I can say I was fine with being an authentic person and emotional intelligence. These are the qualities that I'm going to implement in my leadership style.
Sure, I think it's different moments in my journey, and the leadership style develops over time. It's not something that you can just pick and say, okay, I'm going to be an authentic leader today. And I think different circumstances also require a different kind of leader. There are times where I'm not authentic, I'm bullish, we need to meet a deadline. You know, so you also need to be adaptable in your leadership style. But the moment I felt my authentic leadership was the day my promotion was announced. I was very sure with myself that I was doing this obviously to encourage young people. I did not expect the older generation to come to me and say, congratulations, we now feel very comfortable and certain with where the leadership of the business is going. I had not anticipated that. And that's when I realized that I was authentic in all my dealings, whether it's with older people in the organization or younger people. And it was at that moment when I realized that what you do can be impacted by anyone that is around you.
Yeah. Okay.
Gee, so with that said, I am going to close the session, but before I close it, I'd like your final thoughts to our esteemed guest this afternoon. Maybe starting with you, Farana, and we'll end with Sims.
Sure. Ladies, I think it's important to believe in yourself, believe that you deserve a seat at the table, align yourself with the people who you aspire to be like, work hard for what you want, and also enjoy the journey. It is a journey, there'll be lots of challenges, but you have to enjoy it and just believe in who you are and be a bridge for others. You know, pay it back and help each other along the way. And I'm sure, I know some of you really well, and I know you're going to be great leaders, and hopefully we can see you sitting with us one day right here. But believe in yourself and enjoy your journey.
Yeah. I think just to close off on that, I would just say, stay the course. Continuously stay the course. There are days where you're not going to want to get out of bed. There are days where it's going to be so difficult, but stay the course and it will all come together. That's really all I can say.
Amazing. Farana, Sims.
Thank you so much, Kiko.
Thank you.
I have absolutely been encouraged myself. It has been an amazing afternoon. Thank you for your participation, authenticity, bringing your true selves onto the table. And it's discussions like this that we really hope that they will get to other people outside the room. They can encourage them to really wish for something different. They can learn. You guys said you learn through podcasts, and we aim to do that. And thank you until the next very episode of Lead Forward series. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Well done.
Thank you so much.
My gosh.